Hello, and welcome in to another episode of Farm to Fame. The lower octaves worked a couple weeks ago, so that's what I'm sticking with. I am Kelsey Wingert. That is Peter Moylan with a miniature shoe. That is Maddie Mass with a navy sweater on, and we are coming to you live from the deadline day of the MLB lockout. What a journey.
I'm not liking what I'm saying at the moment, but just to get it out there immediately. So this is Monday for everyone that's playing at home. It's midday, and I'm not liking anything that I've read so far. Derek Jeter has quit.
What? That came out of nowhere.
We have Jeff Passan tweeting that MLB is basically undoing everything that's been good about the game. I just don't like positive. This time last week, I was being pretty positive about the outcome. I don't know if you remembered. You could probably quote me here, Maddie, and say that I feel like we're going to get a deal done. But as of right now, I don't like our chances. And that sucks for everybody, especially me.
This has been, well, it sucks for broadcasters who get paid by the game, and games are about to get canceled too.
That's true.
But yeah, this has been absolutely insane. And I have gotten a good understanding of what's going on because of how long it's drug out. The main thing for me that makes no sense is minimum salary, because I understand that people are always going to argue these players are making $500,000, and obviously that's a lot of money, and a lot of people, I would love to be making $500,000, but you compare it to the other three major sports, which we hear the players talk about all the time, that you compare it and they're the lowest minimum salary. These guys are playing 162 games. And you have the NBA players making more playing half the game. So that, since I've been like more aware of like, I don't know, just that.
The differences.
It's like, they play 162 games, and they have spring training, which is unpaid. It's just like, I don't know. I've never really like dove into the minimum salary, because I used to be one of the people like, how are they going to complain about making $550,000 a year? But like, you compare it to, you have to go with what they're worth, right? Like me as a broadcaster, I am not worth that, but a player who's bringing in millions and millions of dollars in ticket sales and jersey sales for this club, like they are worth that salary. And you compare it to comps of the sports industry, and they're playing the most games. It's just, I don't know. I'm passionate about it now.
Yeah. It's so frustrating, especially now that, because I figured that they would have at least made some gains this week. And, you know, you hear certain members of the media saying, oh, it was the mood was different, or, you know, like little things like that. So
the date is Wednesday, March 2nd, 2022. Farm to Fame has been released.
From our contract, or just in this week's episode?
This week's episode.
Okay, good.
What's the state of baseball? At what point as a player do you give in? At how many games? Because the comp, I say the comp so much. What we've heard a lot about what the players are fighting for is for the future players of the sport as well. But the point that's also been made is, a lot of these guys want to make their money now. Like, they want to help out the future players to come, but like they're in their window to earn money. So at what point as a player are you losing too many games, too much money, to the point where you stop fighting and you play?
So that's the idea of what makes the Players Association so strong, is the fact that it's that bond between past and future and present. And, you know, we wouldn't be where we are right now without the 95 strike as players. And it's the mood around the negotiations. I obviously wasn't anywhere near but from what I'm reading, the mood around the negotiations are similar to the way it was back then. And they're just so far apart. It's not even about, well, it is because I know of guys that I know of one very good friend of mine that's losing a lot of money, lost a lot of money in 2020. And he's going to lose a lot of money this year if, you know, stuff gets taken away again. So there is that argument, but it's the same argument for what the guys went through in 95. There's a lot of guys that lost money in 95. That the hope is that they can get a deal done that's good enough that they can make some of that money back, and that future generations don't have to do this sort of crap again.
So if you were an active player right now, would you be willing to sit out half the season with the money that you would lose?
I'd have to. I'd have to. It's just the way it is. Especially if MLB continues not to budge on certain issues that the players obviously feel very strongly about, because unfortunately without us there's no MLB, and we get that without them there's no MLB too. So there's got to be give and take. The bottom line is this: the amount of money that teams have been making has been going like that, and the amount of money that players have been making has been going like that. That's as simple as I can make it. And it's not fair. Players deserve a certain percentage of what the profits are, because we are the players. We are what make the game the game. If that percentage continues to go down, what do we have to do? We have to fight. We have to realize that we have to go, you know what, that can't keep happening, because if it's doing this now, 10 years down the track, it's going to continue to do that. And then we're going to be in a worse position we are now. So we've got to cut it off at its head and send it back in the other direction. Otherwise, it'll never change. As I said to you in the last episode, once they make these changes and once they implement these differences, they never go back. They never give us anything back. It's not like, you know, the rules are in, and that changes the game. Just like the CBA, we get to renegotiate again in 5 years, but it's like, we didn't realize how bad the last two were until we were in the middle of it. And we're like, man, we didn't think about this, you know? So all those things that they've now thought about, they're not going to let go of.
It's so crazy, because I remember last year, or in 2020, when they were doing the COVID negotiations, everybody was just saying, this is just a taste of what's to come when the CBA is up in a few years. Because
the mood has been bad for a few years because of how badly, not the big we got beaten. It's just we weren't thinking the same way 5 years ago at the last CBA. And I don't think it's anybody's fault. I'm not laying blame at the feet of anybody, but I'm just saying that we walked out of that last CBA not knowing what the next 5 years were going to entail. And the tanking thing was huge. We should have nipped that when we had a chance, and we didn't. So that's the thing that's kind of got us in the situation we're at right now. There's only a handful of competitive teams every single year, and it's ruined free agency, and it's ruined the chance for guys to make money for long periods of time.
I mean, have you been reading any of Ken Rosenthal articles in The Athletic?
I read the last one.
Because he has been unleashed. Like the stuff that he's writing about Rob Manfred after his issue with MLB Network. Oh my gosh. I'm like, okay, Kenny.
So wow. This is what we need though. Like this is exactly what we don't just need to hear the one narrative. It doesn't seem like Ken Rosenthal, Jeff Passan, these sorts of guys are pulling any punches when it comes to the description of how they feel about how the negotiations have been going. And they seem to be swaying public opinion, which would have normally not been on the players' side right now, towards the players, which I think is obviously great.
Covington and Masvidal. Oh, you got a box. Masvidal step into the octagon this Saturday at UFC 272. How do you say that? UFC 272? I don't know. DraftKings Sportsbook is the official sports betting partner of UFC, and they have a knockout offer for new customers. Bet just $1 on the main event and get it, Peter, and get $100 in free bets. Get them no matter what. Could be a first round knockout, majority draw, or double knockout resulting in a no contest. No matter the outcome, you will get paid. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you can still feel the thrill of UFC 272. I don't know which one it is. With DraftKings free-to-play pools, everyone can enter a free pool with 10,000 doll hairs and prizes. We love DraftKings Sportsbook. I have no idea what I just read about wrestling. I know nothing about wrestling. But if you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, use the promo code JOMBOY, throw down just $1 on the UFC 272 main event and get $100 in free bets no matter the outcome. That's code JOMBOY this Saturday at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of UFC. 21 and up, restrictions apply. See show notes for details. UFC main event 272 Navasgal, Covington.
Oh, how about that?
Whew.
That's an ad read right there. That's going to get us ad read of the month.
Ken Rosenthal's been unleashed. MLB Network is unwatchable right now. And I love MLB Network. And I will they have some of the most talented people in baseball television at that network. And I respect so many people there. I love Harold Reynolds. That's my guy. He has always been kind to me.
But what have they got to talk about?
Last night when I'm watching MLB Network and Harold Reynolds, once again, my guy, I don't want to be hating on him, but makes the point that the deadline has to be honored and that the deadline is a deadline. And his reasoning, what I told you guys before the show, was so fans could book their trip to see their teams. And I'm laying in bed watching this last night, like that. It's they're just being spoon-fed stuff to say.
I just think he's run out of words to say about the thing, and I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt also that he's just like, you know what, it's just, you know, but clearly that's not the biggest issue. Maybe it is. Maybe we're missing the point. Maybe that. I mean, the fans are also what make the game.
Peter,
if we're being honest.
Don't try to reason this. I literally forbid you from trying to reason that.
You're right. This is what pisses me off the most about these lockouts is that everybody knows exactly what the problem is. And yet the owners are so arrogant that they feel like they can just go ahead and do whatever the hell they want to do and no one's ever going to hold them accountable for it. Like, what happened to teams being individual teams and not all running by the same fucking blueprint? Figure it out yourself. Like, the Rays have figured out a way to be really good without doing all the bullshit, right? Now, they've also decided that 12 options or sending someone up and down 12 times in a year is justifiable, which is never, ever going to be justifiable to me. They did that to a kid last year. So I'm not saying that everybody has to reinvent the wheel. I'm just saying it's like a blueprint. Oh, well, we're just going to decimate the team and then we're just going to rebuild. And it's like, we're just going to lose for a few years. That shouldn't ever be in anybody's mindset. You shouldn't ever want to just lose. You do the best with what you can, whether that means spending 70 million, whether that your budget is your budget. Go and spend what you afford, what you can afford. It's whatever, I don't understand it. I just don't. And Rob Manfred, as commissioner, has the ability to stop it and talk sense into these people. And I don't think he's just ready for his bonus in the end of his tenure. That's all he gives a shit about. Like, how bad is this game going to be when he's done? Fucking hell.
You okay, Pete?
No, I'm not okay. I just don't understand. At least they did a good job of hiding it, kind of, before, right? Now, all this manipulation and taking advantage of players is out there in the open.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they just think that
it should be accepted.
Right. It's okay. People should be okay with the way that people are treated for 6 years of their baseball, the first 6 years of their baseball career. Johnny Venners and Peter Moylan are prime examples of what's wrong with the current system. We peaked in those first 6 years and we weren't able to ever foresee a free agent contract. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't swap it for the world. I say it every single time. But Johnny Venners gave some of the best years of his life while he was making league minimum and was basically just, you know, an invite trying to stay healthy after that because he was abused.
I mean, I'm glad that we get your perspective of it because it helps a lot to, you know, to get an understanding of it. But
especially think of it because as a relief pitcher, you know that there's a stable of dudes that are ready to take your job. So in those first 3 years, you have no right. If a manager comes up to you and says, "Hey man, how you feeling? Are you good to go today?" Instant fear. If you're feeling anything but perfect, and if you say no, I can't go today. Well, oh shit. Well, how many times are you going to do that? I might get someone that never says no.
Yeah.
You know. So you don't say no. You never ever say no. And that's why the O'Flaherty's, the Kim Ventals, Kimbrel, and look, it was for Bobby Cox, it was for Freddie Gonzalez, whoever it was for. At that stage of your career, you don't feel like you can ever say no to anybody. So you're just going to keep going out there. And then if you do happen to get hurt or can't maintain 80 to 85 games a year, which no one can, then they'll find someone else that they can replace you with. And that's what happens, because there are so many good baseball players, especially now with the development of these guys. Like you look at college baseball now, these guys from 99 to 103, like it's, come on, they're one step below from where they need to be a major league reliever. You just go in there and throw 103 miles an hour 15 times and you can get out.
Yeah.
I hate what's happening right now. I really wish that we could just be a fly on the wall of these negotiations. I want to know what language is being used. I want to know where they're at. I want to know exactly we should know. I feel like we should know. Like
when they say tensions are high, like I want to know what that means. Like, are people,
does that mean like Scherzer's reached across and grabbed the lawyer by the throat and he's picking him up and he's going, oi? Or does that mean that they're like tweeting mean things at each other?
Listen to the full episode wherever you consume your podcasts or by clicking the link on the screen now.